Good afternoon and welcome to our road safety chat with TD2. And first of all, I want to say thank you to TD3, who you are about to meet very soon. He's been doing a great job with these productions of the videos, and there's just so much that we are doing in the background with TD3, who you are going to know very soon. Good afternoon, guys. Welcome to our road safety chat. Today's chat is about cutting in, because there's a lot of accidents that occur due to drivers that cut in. So today we want to talk about what is cutting in, what can we do to avoid cutting in, and what can we do when a driver cuts in. Remember, your reaction as well is very important to any situation on the road. You can help out by doing the correct thing even when the other person has done a wrong thing. That is defensive driving. Remember, anticipating a problem and also how you react to that problem on the road. So if your fellow driver makes a mistake, how do you react to that mistake? That is defensive driving. Anticipating that there could be a mistake that can be made, and also how you react to that mistake with safety at the back of your mind. So today's discussion is about cutting in. Now, the first question obviously will be, what is cutting in? This is when a driver literally cuts in front of another driver. It could be due to them changing a lane or joining the road. Okay, so cutting in is when a driver, without proper care and due consideration, cuts in front of another driver or a rider. That is what is known as cutting in. Mostly this happens when other drivers are trying to do the lane change maneuver. All right, sometimes you'll be driving in the inner lane and maybe some other person from the outer lane wants to change to the inner lane, and they have not taken due consideration and care and just literally cuts in front of you or comes in front of you. That is what is known as cutting in. So this is when someone drive into your lane and they are relatively close, very close, that you maybe have to slam the emergency brakes, and that is what is known as cutting in. Sometimes cutting in is when somebody is overtaking. Sometimes some people can misjudge the distance between the vehicle that they want to overtake and the vehicle that is coming on the opposite direction. They start over the overtaking maneuver, and then they realize, I might not make it. So they want to get back to that lane. So they might cut you off. That is what is known as cutting in. So it is very dangerous to cut in. Now, how do we avoid cutting in? The first thing is, especially when you are changing lanes, you want to change lane. The first thing you do when you want to change lane is you need to show your intention to change the lane. How do you do that? You use your turn signal. Please indicate that you intend to change the lane into the other lane. When you do that, some drivers will actually even slow down and allow you to join their lane. That is a safe way of changing lane without cutting in. So when you do the indicator and you check in the mirror that the vehicle is far away, you can change the lane, then you change that lane safely. If it is not clear, please keep your turn signal on and wait for the road or the lane to be clear. Most drivers want to assume that, oh, obviously I've seen that I've put the turn signal on, I'm changing lane, so let me just change the lane. A lot of accidents has happened because of that kind of thinking, because of that type of driving, because of that habit of driving. It's important that we wait. If the person in the lane you want to change into doesn't want to give you a chance, please don't force. Allow them to pass. Another person will give you a chance. Do not force yourself when that person doesn't want. The other reason why we have cutting ins is because of improper overtaking. Now, when I'm talking about overtaking, I always say this. The first thing you're supposed to do is ask yourself a question. Is it necessary to overtake? Is it really necessary for me to do the overtaking maneuver? If it's necessary, is it clear? If it's clear, is it allowed legally? How are the markings on the road? Do they allow me to do that? Now, Most of the cuttings that happen due to improper overtaking is because drivers don't get to judge the distance of the vehicle that is coming on the opposite direction. So they start overtaking and then they realize, oh, this vehicle is too close. I need to get back to my lane. And because they are panicking, they literally cut in front. And then there are just drivers that are not so good with overtaking. There could be no vehicle that is coming on the other side, but they will not move a bit further from the vehicle they were overtaking. They just slightly move after the vehicle they're overtaking and they get back to the lane. They cut off the vehicle that they're overtaking, and that has caused a lot of road traffic crashes. And sometimes because these other drivers that are coming from the opposite are not so courteous as to slow down and give you chance, they will keep coming, and in the process you're going to panic. So every time you want to do an overtaking maneuver, make sure it's clear so that you don't cut off the other person, because some drivers, even when it's clear, they still cut off the other person. So we want to urge them to please keep moving forward and leave enough distance between your vehicle that you're overtaking and the vehicle. That's when you get back to the lane to avoid cutting off that other driver. Now, what can you do when you have been cut off? I know it's frustrating. I know it's so frustrating for somebody to cut you off. The tempers just go so high. I've seen how some people would throw their hands all over the place and give very unpleasant gestures, which we don't encourage as traffic discs. So the first thing we should do when you are cut off by a fellow driver is please stay calm, okay? Relax. Take a deep breath, Tijans. Relax. Stay calm. Do not panic. Sometimes some drivers, after being cut off, because they are not calm, they end up going into the drainage system. They end up causing a road traffic crash because they were cut off. So please try and stay calm. Take a deep breath and avoid aggressive reactions. I know these reactions sometimes, because you are so upset, you start throwing your hands everywhere and show unpleasant gestures, which may tend to also just infiltrate the other guy, and then you start a road rage. So the first thing is that make sure you stay calm. Take a deep breath and avoid aggressive reactions. The other one is maintain your distance. Maintain your distance even after being cut off. I know there's an edge to start following that vehicle too close that cut you off, because probably you want to go and have a word with that person that cut you off. But please avoid doing that. Maintain your distance away from that vehicle. Allow it to proceed. All right, the mistake was made, but you trying to follow it too close, now you're going to be an aggressive driver. And in case that vehicle stops suddenly, you're going to hit into the back of that motor vehicle. So stay calm, maintain your distance, and avoid confrontation. Don't go and cut it off again so that you can have him park and then you have that confrontation. Most of these confrontation have ended up being into assault cases, where you are now being charged for a criminal offense of assault because you wanted to be confrontational. You want to confront this person that cut you off. In the process, you are now throwing punches. You become Mike Tyson, and then a criminal charge of offense is going to follow you. So please avoid being confrontational. Do not engage the other driver. The other thing you can do is please take down that registration number, the make of the vehicle, the place where the person has cut you off, and you can actually report them to the nearest police station, or you can actually call the RTSA toll-free number or the Zambia Police toll-free number, which of course for Zambia Police is 9010-9010, and for RTSA is 983. You can tell them, this driver driving such a make of a motor vehicle, the registration number on this road, heading this side about around this time, did cut me off. And then the relevant authority are the ones that are going to summon that person and either warn, charge, or educate that person. Don't be the one to confront them, because confrontation can tend into assaults, and we don't want Tijans being charged for criminal offenses now of assaulting the other person. So what are the consequences of cutting in? For those that like to cut in, other drivers, what are the consequences of cutting in? Now, cutting in also may lead to a collision, even a fatal, a very serious collision or a fatal collision. So when you cut off someone, you are not just putting that person's life at risk, but your life as well. You may be involved in a road traffic crash and it can turn fatal. If not reported, if reported, you may be charged. Those are consequences. If you are reported, you might be charged for careless or dangerous driving depending on the circumstances, okay? And Section 154 says if any person drives a motor vehicle on a road without due care and consideration, it means you're a careless driver. So if you cut off someone, are you driving with due care or consideration? The answer is definitely no. So when you cut off someone, do not be surprised if you find yourself being charged for careless driving. Why? Because you're driving without due care and reasonable consideration to other road users. So avoid cutting your fellow drivers or riders in, because cutting in is one of the leading causes of road traffic crashes, and this is something that we can do something about to avoid it. We can do that by making sure that it's clear before we start our overtaking to avoid cutting off someone. We can make sure that before we join the road, especially those that join the road from an access road into the main road, do not cut off. Wait until it's clear. Remember, the highway code says exercise patience and hang back. Wait. Don't just join the road to cut off someone. Wait unless the person puts hazards and allows you to join the main road. Then you can join. If not, allow them to pass. Then you can join. Avoid cutting in. It causes a lot of road traffic crashes. It can be fatal for you or another road user. Thank you very much, guys. We'll see you again on another edition, exciting edition of our road safety chat, and we look at another interesting topic to discuss. Bye-bye.